Bye-bye. Hi there, it's Troy. Welcome to another video. So listen, I want to read you a tweet that I put out today, and it goes a little something like this. Yes, game can be a damaging experience. We suffer body blows out there in the field, rejections, rudeness, and flakes, etc. But the damage done by non-participation is far, far worse. Okay? And that's really what I want to talk about today. It's this idea that non-participation, that is to say, not taking action, not doing something, is far, far worse than taking the risk and making the moves that you know that you need to make in order to get the things that you want. Okay? Now, game, or the dating sphere, if you like, is classic for this. Okay? It's absolutely systemic within this area of study, if you like. The guys will come into this space because they want to improve their dating prospects, and yet they will feel absolutely incapable of doing the things that they know they should be doing. That is to say, approaching, opening, making conversation, flirting, taking a telephone number or an Instagram or whatever, and setting up a date. They're just absolutely incapable of taking the actions necessary to get to the next level where they want to be. And it's really silly when you think about it, because the actions in themselves are very, very simple. You know, these actions are not complex. There's nothing technical going on here. Yes, game or dating dynamics is an area of study. Yes, there are people like me who are creating content about it, and books like Renegade Dating Domination, which is my new collection, which came out this week. Sure, there's lots that you can learn. There's lots of techniques that you can learn, outer game techniques. There's lots of mindset stuff that you can study in order to, rather like a professional athlete, get yourself into the right frame of mind. So when you go out there into the social sphere, you come across in the best way possible. There are loads and loads and loads of things that you can consider, that you can study. There are loads of resources that you can look to get inspiration, to get information, and so on and so forth. But in the end, you need to take action, right? And what does that action look like? That action looks like going out into the town or the city where you live, either during the daytime or maybe in the nighttime if you're into nightclubs and bars and things, seeing somebody that you find attractive, going up to them, saying hi, paying a compliment, flirting, that is to say teasing, pulling that compliment back a little bit, bantering, that is to say keeping the conversation going for a period of time, revealing perhaps a little bit more about yourself, what kind of a guy you are, the fact that you're normal, you're not just this two-dimensional player type character, and then escalating, that is to say moving things on to the next stage, either by taking a phone number and agreeing to set up a date later, or taking things further then with a date, or going to a different, more intimate location. Very, very simple stuff, okay? And yet, most guys find it really, really hard to do. And most guys let themselves off the hook time and time again because they don't want to feel the blow to their ego that comes about if they do this and it's unsuccessful. And yes, as I said in the tweet, sure, rejection hurts. Rejection stings. It's uncomfortable. It can be embarrassing. It can make us question our validity. You know, it can make us question our whole approach. It can bring up those uncomfortable things that we think about ourselves. And it can sometimes momentarily knock us off balance. So I'm not saying that rejection and the vicissitudes of the field, if you like, are something just to be sniffed at, something just to be passed over. Sure, there are difficulties. It's not easy. This stuff is challenging. All social dynamics are challenging, okay? But nothing that's worthwhile is ever easy, right? But my argument today is that the flip side, that is to say not taking the action, is in the long term ultimately more damaging still. Why is that? Well, listen, here's how it breaks down. When you see the attractive girl at the party and you know that you really want to start a conversation with her, and you know, or you intuit that you guys will get on well, that you could have an amazing time together, that you could bring a lot of positive energy to her, and then you decide for whatever reason that you're not going to approach, you're just not going to take that risk, that emotional risk, then yeah, in the short term, maybe that's going to make you feel good. You're going to feel that relief because you think, I don't have to do it. I've let myself off the hook. I don't have to make the effort. And momentarily, that eases things up for you. But the more that you do that, the difficulty is that every single time you act in that manner, or rather you fail to act, you are sending a very, very negative message about yourself to your inner core, to your soul, if you like. You are saying, I don't consider myself worthy of taking a risk. And that, my friends, is not what you want to be doing. That's an incredibly bad way to treat yourself, okay? Imagine if this was somebody that you loved. Imagine if this was a really close friend or somebody very, very close to you. And you had to take an action that was challenging in order to help that person live the sort of life that they dreamed about living. And you just said, do you know what? It's a little bit hard, so I think I'm not going to bother. What kind of person would you be? What kind of friend? What kind of colleague? What kind of associate would that make you? That would be a terrible, terrible response. And yet that's what you do to yourself every time you fail to make that approach. Every time you fail to go and endeavor to create that new connection. You are treating yourself horribly, and it's incremental. It builds up on itself. Okay, so just as taking positive action is incremental and builds up on itself, and you build momentum, when you fail to take action, and you consistently fail to take action over a long period of time, that also builds momentum. That is also incremental, but it's incremental in a negative way. Okay, you feel worse and worse and worse about yourself. And you feel less and less and less inclined to take that necessary action as time goes on. And you feel worse about yourself because you know deep down what you need to be doing. You know deep down what your soul, what your inner being desires. And I'm talking, yes, here about dating, but this also applies in many different fields, including business, including work, creative pursuits, maybe in spirituality, right? You know deep down what your soul needs, what your soul desires, but you're not taking action. That is horribly corrosive, okay? That makes you feel terrible about yourself. And you shouldn't be doing that to yourself. You really, really shouldn't, you know? So the approach is not just an approach. I mean, yes, it is, in the context of the party and the pretty girl. The approach is you want to go and talk to her because you are interested in her and you want to see if maybe you guys could have a connection and maybe you can date. Okay, fine. So on that level, it's very straightforward. But on another level, it's not just an approach, okay? It really isn't. What this is about is, are you going to stand up and put your flag in the ground and say, yes, I exist, to yourself, to her, and to the universe, or are you not? Okay? And if you're not, then again, all that signaling to yourself, to your subconscious, to your inner self, is that you don't think that you are worth anything. Okay? You are merely confirming all of the negative patterns that have been taught to you by society and by your family and by the people in the past and everything else for the whole of your life. And that stops now. Okay? From today, you need to put your best foot forward. You need to be taking action. You need to be putting that flag into the ground and proclaiming loudly to everyone around you that you exist, that you are valid, that you have as much right to pursue the dreams that you have in your life, however grandiose or however humble as anybody else, all right? And in a very small way, going and starting a conversation with somebody that you find attractive is one manifestation of that, okay? It's not as big as starting a company. It's not as big as approaching a venture capitalist for a huge cash injection in order to start up a tech enterprise that you've been dreaming about all your life. But it is something, okay? And from small acorns, mighty oak trees grow, if you'll forgive the cliche. So I want you, for the sake of your dating life, but just for the sake of your whole existence on this planet, I want you to start taking these risks. Now, of course, we're still in lockdown in many places. I'm not talking about those kind of risks, gentlemen. Observe the law of the land. But you know what I'm saying. You need to start taking those social risks. And they're not big risks. You know, they're not massive risks. It's not that the walls are going to come down. This is going and talking to another human being. But you need to be doing this, because when you don't, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are short-changing yourself. You aren't serving yourself. You aren't doing what you were put on this planet to do, which is to pursue the kind of existence you want. So this is serious stuff. And as I say, as I started off the video by saying, the damage that will be done to you by not taking action ultimately will be worse than the minor kind of embarrassment, irritation, frustration, whatever that you get from a couple of rejections, okay? Because rejections you forget. You know, you get rejected one day at the party, a couple of hours later, it's kind of gone out of your mind. A week later, you won't even remember. And if you do, it's probably just a funny story to tell your friends, okay? It's immaterial. It doesn't matter, okay? But the pain of inactivity will stay with you for a lot longer. So beware, keep that in mind, and start taking action today, okay? Now, Renegade Dating Domination, which is my new collection of essays and articles written over the last 5 years or so, for Return of Kings and also for realtroyfrancis.com, my website, is out now. It's a collection with 2 volumes. It's over 400 pages worth of material, over 150 articles on different topics, things like this, mindset stuff, but also techniques, stories, night game, day game, all this kind of stuff. It's all there right now before June the 19th, which is Friday. You can get a 25% discount. The link is below. So if you're interested in this area of your life, if you want to improve, if you want to grab life by the horns, etc., etc., I highly recommend that you grab that collection, particularly at the moment while you can get that nice discount. Beyond that, please do subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, bring in new subscribers so I can keep putting out the free content, etc., etc. And I'll leave it there for now. But listen, guys, take action, because this is your life, and the only person that creates your life is you. You are like the artist, okay? And if the artist never raises the paintbrush and puts a stroke of paint on the page, then nothing's created. So it's in your hands. Go out there and do it. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.